Good afternoon and happy Wednesday. Welcome to H3 TV, the talk show where I usually interview a guest about hope, health, and happiness. And now we have shifted our focus to how do they weather their storms, because we all face storms with hope, health, and happiness. Today, I will be your interviewer and your interviewee. So I will just be doing my own show today. Because both my guests were unable to make it, no worries. But if you do want to be a guest that you have gone through a storm and you have come out of it with hope, health, and happiness, I would love to interview you. In particular, if you're a meeting planner, an association executive, or an HR director, I would love to talk to you. So just shoot me an email at annie@anniemeehan.com. So today what I wanted to talk about is what happens when we go through a storm. So yes, it can be a literal storm like Hurricane Ian, but it can also be a storm like a relationship changing or career changing or even a move that you didn't choose or relocation can feel like a storm. It's a disruption. Hi, Shauna. It's a disruption. It's when you're challenged and you're like, hey, I wasn't ready for this, or oh my gosh, there's so many moving parts. But this morning I was thinking about a couple things about weathering a storm. First is that when a storm hits your life, whatever area of your life it hits, it can affect every area of your life. When I teach about health, I think of 7 areas. So physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, financial, career, and relationship. And what I was thinking about is as Hurricane Ian hit us, physically, it changed our environment, right? So we weren't able to stay in our home and to live here. So it was physically affected us, right? And then relationally affected us. Greg and I were both really stressed. I remember the kids came at Christmas and Greg and I are not really fighters. And they were like, wow, you and dad are both so crabby. And I was like, we are. But I think that level of stress and not knowing when we could move back home. And then financial stress. We had an assessment in December. They just announced another assessment today. They announced increase in our association dues. And so financial stress can come inside of the storms and all different ways. Your career, I was out of my office. I wasn't able to have a structure. I was out of my routine. I was emotionally challenged. So when you hit a storm, it can affect many areas of your life and many areas of your health. And so first, I just want to acknowledge that's okay. Don't judge yourself. Let yourself feel what you feel and be aware that you might be like, hey, this is just a health concern. Why is everything else being affected? Because we're one being. We're one being and we have many parts. And so I just want you to first acknowledge that. And then how do you get hopeful? How do you stay hopeful? I mean, there's so many ways to bring hope into the challenging times in our life. And I think one of the hardest things is thinking about being hopeful when you're hurting. I was thinking last night and again this morning, and I know many of you already know, but this is such a sacred week in my year, is that it's the anniversary of my brother's birth and the anniversary of his death and the anniversary of my birth. And we were the same age for 6 days every year. And he was my little big brother. So I've really been on my heart and on my mind. And when I'm trying to sleep at night. And then I lost my sister last year, actually 2 months to the day before the Hurricane Ian hit us. And my sister and I weren't as close as my brother and I. And she struggled with addiction her whole life. But I really feel like I've not grieved that loss at all. In fact, the day that she died, I was out doing a wellness walk on the beach and trying to gather people and say, let's walk together in collaboration to heal from stigma, silence, and shame around addiction, around mental health, around unplanned pregnancy, and all those things that keep us shut in and having self-doubt. And so it was just ironic that I'm out walking and then my sister passes that same night. I always think God knows how things are going to play out, even though we don't. But one of the ways I stay hopeful is look back to look forward. How far have we come? We have moved back into our home. We are rebuilding. There's still a lot of destruction outside. In fact, in the end of this post, in the comments, I will share some of the photos I took this morning. Before 8:30 this morning, I got up and got 10,000 steps in. So I first did 4 short videos with Shelly with Fabulous 50. It was one of my favorite videos online. And then Greg and I went for a 2-mile walk on the beach. But the piles of debris, the devastation to the homes and to the businesses, it's heartbreaking still. It's physically hard to look at. It smells horrible. There's a lot of garbage smell, but it also is just, it's so hurtful. And so how do I stay hopeful is I look forward, like, what is this going to look like in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years from now? How beautiful the beach is going to be, how healed the beach is going to be, how many people will come here and soak up the sunshine, never knowing or remembering what we've been through. And so one way to stay hopeful is to look back at how far you've come in your life. I was listening to, when I was working out with Shelly with the Fabulous 50, she played the song Relax, Go to It. And don't do it, relax, don't do it. And she said, do you remember where you were when this song came out and how far you've come in your life? And I love that. I was like, oh, I love that if we look back at the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, I don't know how old you are as you listen, that how far you've come, all the things you've overcome, all the things you've accomplished and you've done. You've probably done a lot more than you give yourself credit for. When it comes to being healthy in the storm, I do not feel like I was healthy at all in so many ways since the storm hit, as I kind of mentioned in the beginning. But one thing that brings health back into my life is getting back on that routine. I love quiet time in scripture in the morning. I love getting up between 4 and 5 and right away starting my day with verses and devotions. And I pick out 3 devotional plans I do on my phone on an app called YouVersion, I think, or the Bible app. And I do one on marriage, I do one on patience, and I do one on business, or kind of one for our relationship, one for myself, and then one for something achievement or focus or making an impact on the world or being an influencer. And those always ground me to have that, and then to do videos, and then to get a walk. Like by 8:30, I just felt golden this morning. I was like, yes, I got back into that routine. I am a person that flies by the seat of my pants a lot, but I'm very routine and structured actually in order to be able to do the work I do. And yesterday morning I spoke, I did a virtual presentation. I fly out next week, and just having those things to look forward to, whether it's my work or this week, I've kind of rededicated myself. I thought, what do I want for my birthday? And kind of me being silly, as I often am, I'm like, I could be sad about being able to order off the senior menu, but at Perkins at 55, double nickels, or as I like to call it, a perfect 10, I get a better price at Perkins. And once every 10 years, we get to be a perfect 10. And this year's my year. I'm going to be 55 years old. And most of the time I feel like I'm 28, but I'm not. I'm 55 years old, and I have 55 years of professional and personal experience to get to this point. But I was thinking every 10 years, we get to be a perfect 10, 55, 46, 37, whatever that is. When those two numbers equal 10, you are a 10. So instead of worrying about aging, be so grateful you're still alive and that you're healthy enough to do things with your body. And if you're struggling with your health, then I just encourage you to figure out what you can do and celebrate that. But for health, for me, it's about assess to address. So look at where I'm weak, as I told you in the beginning, and then think about, what could I work on? What if I got back on a routine? What if I did 10 minutes of reading a day? What if I did 10 minutes of movement a day? Set small goals and build on them. Insightful observation, the simplicity of healing process. Yes, Joe, it does. Yes. Thank you, Shauna and Joe. And so, yes, when we are living stuck or sad or in shame, we're not fully living, right? But as we heal, we can show up. And so for me, being healthy is about being in routine. It's about music. Oh, I said it's my birthday Saturday. And so this week I decided, what could I do to take care of myself? So this is what I decided. I'm going to do a self-care thing every day. So on Monday, and I'm not just going to do it for me, I'm going to do it for me and my husband, because I want him and I to be healthy together. We've lost a lot of people young, and we've watched a lot of elderly people be incapable of taking care of themselves or each other. And so I know I don't have control over that completely, but I'm going to do my part. So cooking healthier meals. Last night we had some kale and risotto, and it was amazing. Monday night we went to, I think they call it cryo. Does anyone know about cryo? Write about that in the comments. I don't know. I was reading and it said helps with inflammation, all these things. I think maybe for you living in the Midwest, you have this without going. But it's like this little box, and it fills up with fog, and the high temperature is -161. So some people go in at like -300 or something. We went in at -161. They opened the windows, and we stayed in for 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes. but people stay up to 3 minutes. And I guess it's supposed to help with inflammation, healing, relaxation. So we tried that on Monday. Last night, Greg and I went and got pedicures. Tonight, it's facials. Tomorrow, maybe massages, but something good to take care of ourselves every day. There's always specials on Groupon. There's always a way to make a way to do something for yourself. And maybe that's not your thing, but there is things, whether it's silence or movement or friend time, to take care of yourself. And then happiness. Well, happiness for me through the storm was music and was relationships, and prayer. I was so grateful to the people that reached out to me, and I didn't always respond. So if you're one of those people that I didn't respond to, it doesn't mean I didn't hear you or it didn't matter. But being connected, feeling loved, feeling seen and valued, like my TEDx, and having people pour into you and having people think about you and say, how are you doing? What's going on? That makes me so happy. Listening to music, being with people I love, having a routine, having people book me to speak, people writing me letters. Somebody called me yesterday and she said, I heard you in 2014 and I've been thinking about your message since. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful thing. Today I got an email from somebody who said they looked me up on Facebook and they loved my pineapple principle. To be thought of and remembered and regarded as and making a positive impact in the world, not being an influencer, but making a positive impact with my written and spoken words. That is what makes me happy in this world. So many things make me happy, but having that list before I need that list. And that's what I want to say to you is whatever storm you're going through, please don't discount it and think it's less than someone else's storm. First of all, let yourself feel what you feel. And second of all, have a tools in your tool bag. So when the storm comes, you can get through it with hope, health, and happiness. That's what my encouragement is. And so I will gather with you every Wednesday for my H3 talk show that I imagine having this talk show someday on TV and interviewing people that want to tell me good news. Tell me the good news you're doing in the world. Tell me the difference you're making. Don't tell me what's not working. There's plenty of that. But there are so many amazing things. And when you're feeling sad and stuck, for me, one of the things that brings me joy is get out there and serve. Our Fort Myers Beach Island is having kind of a music festival at Times Square this Saturday, and it's for all the nonprofits. And a few of them have reached out and said, hey, we need volunteers at our booth. And so I've said yes to 2 booths because we need to support each other. We need to volunteer, to show up. And it's not always tit for tat. Just because someone gives to me doesn't mean that's the person I'm going to give back to. But maybe somebody gives to you and there's somebody else that you can give to. And then that person can give to someone else. And we just create a movement of pineapple people, as I'd say, but of volunteerism, of giving back, of random acts of kindness, of intentional acts of kindness, of being sweet and seeing and valuing people. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you feel encouraged, whatever storm you're walking through. I'll show you some of the pictures that I saw this morning. In the devastation, there's always beautiful sunrises and sunsets. And I try to look at a balance of both. Our little peanut butter is not doing great today. He is kind of hiding in the closet and not feeling like moving or eating. And it's hard to watch. And yet he's more peaceful than when he's barking. And the trauma and the stress of the hurricane and him losing his sight has been very, very hard on him and on us, meaning often there's no sleep for us. But when we get back on schedule with our sleep and with the schedule and with movement, we all feel better. So Shauna, thank you for the question. How did I feel after the Cairo? I call it crying because it's like so dang cold. I felt good. I didn't feel dramatically different. Greg didn't think he felt different at all, but let me tell you, he was very sleepy and kind of grumpy on the way there, and he was talkative and happy on the way back. So I think it's an invigorating experience. And I would definitely try it again. It was interesting. I wish we could have done, I think the infrared sauna before is what they recommended, and then the Cairo, but there wasn't time for that, or we got there so late because there was terrible traffic and it did take us an hour to get there. So I probably won't go back to that place, but maybe there's another place. And I don't know much about it, but I know that inflammation in my body or sensitivity to food can be really hard on my skin. And I'm at the point that like, hey, I am not 28 years old and I got to do whatever I can to take care of my skin and my teeth and my eyes and my feet, and invest in just self-care is more important than going out to eat and drink and spend money. I love experiences, but what if I do healthy experiences instead of ones that aren't so healthy? And I just feel like it's my turn. I was laughing at myself this week that like, I can't really blame my 25-year-old anymore for baby weight. But let me tell you, having 4 pregnancies does a number on your body, and especially if you let it. And so, yeah, I'd like to do the sauna and then the cold. And I thought it would be like water, but she said, no, it's not water. It's just this little like tube, almost container. You go in, and it's about this big, and you don't really move, but they do play music, which that's helpful. So I listened to Stevie Nicks, Landslide, one of my favorite songs. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. I hope you have people around you that encourage you on your best days and on your worst days. I hope you have an accountability partner that supports you rather than shaming or saving you, because you are the expert on your life. You're wiser than you know, and you can overcome much more than you can imagine. So thank you for supporting me as I continue to overcome Hurricane Ian and just daily life. Take care.